Hello and welcome to Talking Tech
We're six.
episode 6, and this is the two-man show. Unfortunately, at the last minute, the venerable man who has not missed a show yet, Mr. Mark Ramos, has had to pull out. He's unwell. So it is just me and Chris tonight. From now on, unless said otherwise, I am now the full-time host of Talking Tech. If you guys are okay with this, send us tweets, messages on Google+, YouTube, whatever. If you're not, send us messages on YouTube, Google+, Twitter, telling us that you'd rather run the show.
Please don't say me.
All right, so first off, I'm actually going to throw it over to Chris because something's happening with TeamViewer, one of his favorite apps.
Yes, so most people will have heard of TeamViewer. I know Mark mentioned it the last time I was on with Craig, which would have been about 2 weeks ago. And that was under the question of where Windows 10 was automatically downloading itself and what would we like to see. And Mark mentions a TeamViewer. Well, the fact that it's now come in TeamViewer 11 with a mass update, I know he'll be even more excited about it. So they've improved the speed, so the performance is up to 15 times faster. Pardon me. And they've overhauled the toolbar, which has all the options that you'll need. They have brought out unattended access for Android devices, which I've tried on the M7 and the M8, and I've not had much luck. Isn't being able to control them, but only to put a little finger. So if you're trying to help someone, a little finger will appear where you click, so that they know what to click.
Mm-hmm.
A bit of a bugbear, considering it's supposed to take full control, but for some reason these devices don't support it. If you have customers and you have the business version, you can give your customers an SOS button. So as soon as that's pressed, it'll come through to you with a notification, which is pretty cool, but you have to pay something like £30 a year. So not for me, thank you very much. And there comes the notification. Minus a couple of other things with the web environment. They've now brought Chrome OS support out,
Which is very handy for me.
Which is very handy for Dom since he owns the Chromebook. But I know I still have family members and friends' computers, and they run Windows varying between No, they don't have XP anymore. They got rid of that. Only took them about a year after it was officially killed. So they have Windows 7, 10, Windows 7 and 10. Everyone want upgraded from 8.1. But the fact it has Chrome OS support, I know, like for Dom, that could become more useful. Because what do you use? Chrome Remote Desktop?
Yeah, I currently use Chrome Remote Desktop mainly because it's free, I'm cheap, and it actually works really well. I've got I have remote access to fix my girlfriend's computer, my mum's laptop, my brother's computers, just because it's easy and I can do it from my phone more than anything else. Like if it's a really, really quick, easy thing, I know that it's easier for me to do than to explain to them. I'll log in on my phone and then take over and just do it.
Yeah. I did one of my bugbears with Chrome Remote Desktop was that you had to be signed into a Chrome browser.
Yeah.
How did you do that? Did you make another login on their systems? or
Um,
or did you trust them enough?
I trusted them enough until they didn't, and then you can actually just create a shareable link now.
Okay, because that's what I like about having TeamViewer is, let's say for my grandma rings me up, I don't have to mess around with trying to get her ID and a password. It's just there in my under a subcategory, and it's just there, which is one feature I liked and is why I couldn't use Chrome Remote Desktop, because it's not that I didn't trust them. It's like with my neighbor, I just didn't want people reading my emails all the time.
And that makes total sense.
Which makes total sense. The fact that Chrome OS supports now come out is super useful, especially if I get a Chromebit. Because
if I can get one of those,
I would get one to replace my Chromecast. Simple as.
Yeah.
But the fact that I would be able to I'd be able to have one app installed on my phone and use that all the time is so much easier. So that's about it. I mean, they've got a couple of videos. I've watched them. They seem okay.
If the people want to watch them, we'll post the link in the description below. It's interesting if you know what remote desktop is and then need to use it. If you have a certain need that Chrome remote desktop isn't enough, the only other one I'd recommend is TeamViewer at this point. It's a brand I trust. I've had to use it when I've been working in places. It's a good product that keeps getting better.
And the fact it's free for personal use, and all you get is an ad, like a little pop-up. It's basically an ad that you just close when you're done. Is even better.
All right, so moving on. The next one is an incredibly quick topic. It's that the Apple Watch now supports Hangouts, or Google has updated the Hangouts app on iOS to allow Apple Watch replies.
Yippee!
As me and Chris were saying before the podcast started, an Apple Watch app update is kind of like an Android Wear app update at this point. There's only really so much to say, and most of it can be contained within the title.
It does this, like this, job done. See you later.
Put it this way: Hangouts on Android Wear is now as useful as Hangouts on Apple Watch.
I love Android Wear.
Yeah, and I love Pebble. And now that I've installed the Android Wear app on my phone, even though I don't have an Android Wear watch, I can use voice replies on my Pebble because it's got a microphone.
What? That's all because you installed the Android Wear app?
Yeah, because Pebble found a way to kind of like hack the voice API through.
Ah, that's clever.
Yeah, it is actually really useful. And like, as much as I'm not a biggest fan of like talking to my watch, sometimes it's literally the easiest thing to do.
I've not had to do that yet. I've done it a couple of times. Where I've just gone like, oh, send a text message to someone, but I've never done it out in public.
Yeah, no, I haven't done it in public, and I don't think I will, purely because I'm quite a private person. I don't want people to know what I'm saying.
Well, the only reason I brought an Android Wear watch was so I could change the music in college without the tutor going, put your phone away.
Yeah, I do that as well.
I've got to put my watch away? How will I know what the time is? Should be a fun argument.
Yeah. All right, so again, that one's a stupidly quick one. The next one, do you want to take this one or shall I?
Oh, I can do it if you like. So, as many as most of you know, Songza was brought by Google Play Music. We didn't get Songza support over here in the UK, did we?
No, Songza never actually launched in the UK, but we are getting parts of it through Google Play Music. If that makes sense?
That's where it's coming in. So, Songza user. So when was this? This was posted yesterday on TechCrunch. Beginning of today, Songza users will be notified that Songza website and mobile apps are being fully folded into Google Play Music as of January the 31st, 2016. Songza was brought back in July of 2014 for an undisclosed sum from Google Play. That's about it, really.
Again, this is another very quick topic. Basically, Google bought Songza a while ago, didn't really do all that much with it straight away, put it into Google Play Music, and now they're killing the separate entity. It makes sense. We always knew it was going to happen, and now we finally have a date.
Like Sunrise with Microsoft.
Yeah, we all knew
Which
what was
I
going to
was
happen,
gutted
except we
when
now
that
have a
came out.
date for it, which is very useful.
I was gutted when that came out. I still use Sunrise to this day because I
Yeah,
tried it, the Outlook app, and it was like, it's too much pressing. I'll just use a stable, out of date calendar app until there's some security flaw, and then I'll probably switch to Google Calendar.
fair enough. So the next one's actually quite interesting. So Samsung has announced the new versions of the Galaxy A7, A5, and A3. If you didn't quite know, the A5, the A7, and the A3 of I think it was last year / this year,
Yes, I believe so.
they were kind of the continuation of the Galaxy Alpha design language, which is a metal-bodied phone. Doesn't really matter what the internals are, and they've come back out with an update. So again, they're all metal-bodied. They're really nice. They feel really premium, even though the A3 of even last year didn't have the most high-end specs. It was really quite underpowered. It felt amazing in the hand. It was very solidly built. And I'd have no reason to think that these were any different. So we'll just go through them quickly. They look almost identical. So the Galaxy A7 has a 1.6 gigahertz octa-core processor. They're not saying which one. I'm assuming it's a newer version of the Snapdragon 6XX series. The A7 has 3 gigs of RAM, a 5.5-inch 1080p AMOLED display. All three phones have a 13 megapixel camera on the back with OIS on the A7 and the A5. But the f1.9, which is one of the selling features of the Galaxy S6's camera, a really fast aperture, allows for more light to be let in lower light without needing to resort to OIS. Now this has both. Those are going to be great shots. It's 7.3 mils thin. It's 172 grams, a 3300 milliamp hour battery, Cat6 LTE, micro USB, NFC. It also has MST, which is magnetic secure transaction, I think, or magnetic secure, something like that. And it's for Samsung Pay.
Isn't that the little black bar you get on the back of your bank cards?
Yeah, so the magnetic swipe tech that oh god, I can't Loop Pay. Samsung bought Loop Pay, and Loop Pay developed MST. MST in Loop Pay was then bundled into Samsung Pay, which is what makes it compelling. The A7 and the A5 are actually pretty identical. The A5 has 1 gig less RAM, so it gets 2 gigs of RAM. Has a 5.2-inch 1080p display, not a 5.5-inch. It's the same thickness, but it's 155 grams, not 172. 2900 milliamp hour battery. But otherwise, it's pretty much exactly the same. The real issue comes when you drop down to the A3. Yeah, which is a 1.5.
I read that and I was like, why would you produce something like this?
Yeah, it's a 1.5 gigahertz quad-core processor. Again, probably some variant of the Snapdragon 400. I'd be quite surprised if it was one of Samsung's own Exynos ones, though, which they did with the S5 Mini, I think.
I don't even remember seeing an S5 Mini in the wild.
I have, but once, and it was when I was working in a phone shop.
Oh, that's why then.
We have 1.5 gigs of RAM, which isn't actually too bad in itself, but 2 gigs would have been nicer. A 4.7-inch 720p AMOLED display. It's nice that it gets the same cameras as the other two, but it doesn't have OIS. It's the same 7.3 mils thick, so they're all the same thickness. It's 132 grams. But again, you drop down the battery to 2300 milliamp hour batteries. It only has Cat4 LTE, so it doesn't quite go as fast. This does not have 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. It does not have MST, so you can't do Samsung Pay. And it doesn't have a fingerprint reader. So this is actually quite a fair bit limited compared to the other two. I would very much recommend no one buy the A3 unless its price is insanely low. I would probably buy the A5 over the A7, only because I like smaller devices. But
no, A7 all the way. Big phones, big phones. After that S6 Edge Plus, God, I love big phones. It's finally taken me to get back to the fact that my M8 is big, and that's only because I've had the Smartwatch 3 for about a day now. It came yesterday, and since playing around with that and then going back to this, it's finally kicked in that this is yet again a big phone.
I've been using some devices on and off since I've been reviewing a lot of devices lately. I don't really have like a daily driver for more than like 3 or 4 days. So I keep switching between like the LG G2, the third generation Moto G, the 4.7-inch Idol 3, and honestly, I love tiny phones. I could just slip them in my pocket, and especially the Idol 3. If the Idol 3 like didn't kind of feel abandoned, I think I'd want to use it more.
I never tried any of the Idols out.
For their prices, it's amazing. The 4.7-inch one is £150.
That's not bad.
And I'd have a very hard time suggesting anything else at that price range.
Oh, 150 quid. I consider that expensive, considering I brought this for 120.
But it's brand new. That's not. But it's like things like the Wiley Fox Swift are better in some ways for less money. But then again, the one of the things the Idol 3s were so great at is even this tiny one here. The speakers are immense. I've held
rear facing or bottom.
They're stereo front facing speakers.
Oh wow!
So if I just take it off of this clip here, so either end here where my fingers are is actually the speakers.
Okay, yeah.
And I've put it next to an M8, and they're pretty much the same volume.
Oh, that's okay. Because I like the M8 for that.
In this teeny tiny phone. And one of the reasons I love it is the speakers don't look terrible. One of the reasons I've always hated the M7, the M8, and the M9 is the speaker grills look horrendous to me. These are quite hidden, and it doesn't. That they've added a tiny bit to the top and the bottom, like to accommodate for them, but not in such an obvious way that it's like boom speaker.
But I suppose you could argue that HTC make them so big because they use boom sound, so they're trying to go for the fact of boom speaker in your face.
Yeah. You could, and you would be terribly wrong, and you'd pretty much be paying their marketing budget.
If I'm right.
Though your piggy bank might have more than their marketing budget right now. We're not quite sure.
I don't know how much is in my piggy bank.
Probably more than HTC's pockets. So again, if I was buying any of those three, which I won't because it doesn't use on-screen buttons, I'd probably buy the A5. Chris would probably buy the A7. We don't have any prices, and they're not coming out until 2016. But if I can get my hands on one, I'll see what I can do. I knew
they kind of don't interest me.
Yeah.
It's like one problem I found this year is looking at new phones.
Mm-hmm.
Just in my budget, it would be less than 200 quid. So hint why I tend to get old flagships, because you can pick an old flagship up for 100, 150 quid. There's nothing that's really tickled my fancy. I mean, not until I had the S6 Edge Plus, but that's what, 520 quid, 530 quid. So that's a bit out of my budget, but no.
I mean, most of the stuff I've played around with this year, bar the Moto X style, has pretty much all been £200 or lower. Oh, and the X Play, but the X Play is overpriced to begin with. The Idol 3, the Wiley Fox Swift, they're both £200. The Moto G is 180. The small Idol 3 is 150. The Wiley Fox Swift is 130. Pretty much everything I've played with has been under this £200, and almost none of them have been horrendous. It's really strange to. I've been with Android since like 2009, 2010, and there was very much a thing as a bad phone. It's very hard to buy a bad, like objectively bad phone these days.
I did play with the Vodafone. Let me get this right. Smart Speed 6.
That was the £50 one, wasn't it?
That was the £50 phone, and boy, God, did that impress me.
Yeah.
I mean, besides like they've cut corners on the camera, the speakers. Overall, it was good phone. If you like drop your phone down the bog, which is quite a common thing, which is kind of concerning. But if you damage your phone for any reason, and you've got 50 quid to throw at something, grab the Smart Speed 6. The only flaw would be it's on Vodafone. But I suppose you could easily unlock that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why you couldn't.
I think the the Smart Ultra 6 is their more expensive one.
That's 125, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and can routinely be found for about 100 on deals.
Yeah,
it's like £3 to unlock it, and then you've got what I'm affectionately calling the Snapdragon 615 reference phone, which is a 5.5-inch 1080p display, Snapdragon 615, 2 or 3 gigs of RAM, like 16 gigs of storage. They're all pretty much the same. And it's you're getting a lot for your money, and it's recently just got its 5.1 update, which should help things a lot.
I know Mark had that and Matt had that. They both had it.
And I think they both really quite liked it, especially for the money. So
here's a quick question for you.
Oh, go for it.
You're saying you've been with Android since 2009.
Yeah.
What was your first Android phone?
The first one I bought, or the first one I had? Because I had ones that weren't actually Android phones.
Okay. What was the first true Android phone that you...
Oh, the first true Android phone I had was the orange San Francisco.
See, I had
the original ZTE Blade, which is where I cut my teeth on Android routing, ROMing, bricking, soft bricking, trying to bring it back to life.
See, I had the Vodafone 858 Smart, and that was like 50 quid. And I've just pulled it up on GSM Arena, and I'm like, oof, how the heck did I get on with this?
Let me just if I bring up the ZTE Blade on GSM Arena.
The 858 Smart was announced of May 2011. It was released June 2011, and I got that Christmas of 2011. So it's basic rundowns. It was Android 2.2 Froyo.
Mm-hmm.
Qualcomm Snapdragon S1.
Mm-hmm.
What was the RAM in this thing? Terrible, if I'm not mistaken. 528 megahertz ARM11 processor, CPU clock speed. I mean, did support micro SD card slot, which I did use the heck out of, because I was still running an iPod Touch at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the RAM on this? Nobody's reported on the RAM with this.
See, I've brought up this on GSM Arena, and I was actually one of the lucky ones. I got the San Franciscos as it first came out, and the first run of them came with OLED screens.
Yes.
I had a 3.5-inch 800 by 480 AMOLED display on this phone, and it was beautiful.
I remember someone having one of them, and I remember they passed it over to me because they wanted to change the setting, but they couldn't. They didn't know how.
Yeah, Android 2.1 with an upgrade to 2.2, 600 megahertz Snapdragon S1, 2 gigs included storage, and a half a gig of RAM. 3 megapixel autofocus camera. And where's this battery? Because there's a tiny battery.
I had a tiny battery.
1,250 milliamp hour battery.
Oh god!
And
in them days it could last.
That was probably the most fun I've had with a phone in a long time with that phone, because again, the way you carry or unlocked it was by flashing a new ROM.
Yeah,
that was it. The lock code was in the stock ROM, and if you change the stock ROM, well, then it was no longer locked. There was no such thing as a bootloader lock on it. Routing it was like as simple as fast boot OEM. Oh, no, not even that. It's just like you just flashed a modified boot image or anything like. And I remember doing it wrong the first time and thinking I'd bricked the phone. And I called my dad over, and he goes, "Stop being an idiot," and took the battery out and then put it back in, and it booted back up.
Oh.
So, and at this point, my dad had never dabbled with Android. I was the first person in the family to dabble with an Android phone, and he was just like, "Stop being a little wimp and get over it."
I wasn't the first one in my family. Who was it? My mum had the HTC. What we're looking? Wildfire. She had the original Wildfire.
Oh
god, that was a good phone. I got on with that so well.
Good is a very relative term. All right, but anyway, whatever. Before we get a bit distracted, I just want to get rid of these last two topics because they're quite small ones. Amazon has introduced a new feature called Blue Shade on its Fire tablets, which means you can throw shade at your friends in a nicer hue. No, it doesn't. It does what F.Lux does on the PC. It takes out different shades of blue in your screen to stop it hurting your eyes at night. It's an amazing feature that I can't wait to play with at one point. It's a very useful feature because I don't think a lot of people realize just changing the brightness on the screen doesn't actually do all that much. The amount of blue light that is used is really quite harmful to the eyes, and it really does hurt them.
Didn't you pick the £50 Amazon Fire tablet up for a member of your family?
I did indeed.
Yeah, that's how Dom's going to be playing with it. He's going to raid it from his family member.
I wasn't actually thinking of that, but you've just saved me £50.
Yeah.
So Blue Shade is actually a pretty cool name for a pretty cool feature. And lastly, I'm going to let Chris take this one because it's kind of a weird topic that I never thought anyone would actually be saying. But
okay, so as many people know, OnePlus One is known for its sandstone black back. Try saying that quickly. And they've just launched, in time for Christmas, a sandstone black. It has the OnePlus logo, bearing in mind where it would do on the traditional OnePlus One, OnePlus Two.
and
Case
OnePlus
for the
X.
iPhone, and the X, for the iPhone 6 and 6S. Not the 6S and 6 Plus, but it's kind of hard to talk about. But basically, it's a case for your iPhone that happens to be made out of sandstone, and it looks pretty damn cool. If I'm going to say so myself.
It's priced quite well. I think it's like $20 or something like that.
Let's see if I can find it in TechCrunch.
Like £50, £15 to £20. I think it's going to be.
Yeah, it's not very expensive.
Yeah, so you just know the profit margins on this case are going to be higher than they are for the bloody phone.
Read a different article saying that they were giving OnePlus X invites out with the case as well.
So if you buy the case, you will be getting a OnePlus X invite as well, which is actually quite interesting because I don't think anyone with an iPhone has any interest in getting a OnePlus anything. But
I know Sophie's not long brought a OnePlus X.
Yes, I don't know if Sophie is planning on doing a review for the site. If not, that's up to her. If she does, I think we'd all like to see.
We'd all be like watching it. That'd be like the first thing that ever gets read the quickest. Yeah, so it comes in on its online store for £16, £15.99. So it's not a cheap case. But it's not the most expensive case for an iPhone we've ever seen.
And from what we've seen in OnePlus devices, it's actually going to be pretty well made as well. That's not something we're really going to have to
worry about.
Yeah, so that is it for the news.
We're a bit limited on topics this week.
Yeah, no, I've got another one I just haven't managed to throw in the rundown yet, but I'm going to just say it anyway. Today, Samsung announced they're actually pulling out of the digital camera market in the UK.
Yes, I remember Mark dropping this into Slack earlier.
Yeah, I'm actually quite upset by this. I was going to buy a Samsung DSLR or a mirrorless interchangeable lens camera, but I'm not going to call it a milk. So I'm kind of glad I didn't. But like, I know people that such as Richard Devine, I think his name. I don't know how you say his last name. Devine, whatever. Who has the NX300 or the NX3000 and bloody loves it. He says it's the best camera he's ever had.
Didn't Samsung, weren't they known for taking a basic camera and then just running Android on it, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, they've done that. That was the Galaxy camera. They had two versions.
And I think they did it with a couple of DSLRs as well.
They did. No, that wasn't Android. That was Tizen.
Did it run Tizen?
That was the Galaxy. I think that was the Galaxy NX, which was, again, like a full-size DSLR, but it ran Tizen. And from what I saw, that was actually pretty great, but it wasn't really worth much of the money. I can't remember the reason they cited as to why they're pulling out of the UK market, but we kind of all saw it coming.
Is it the UK market or the... Oh, yeah, it's the UK market.
Just the UK market. It's kind of a shame because I almost bought the the Samsung NX Mini as well. Yeah, they've just said we've had a gradual and sustained decline in the UK market for our our camera division, which makes sense. No one really wants to stay somewhere where they're gradually losing money and they can see it,
No.
unless they could have dropped prices so much they were almost insta buys without losing money on each unit, which I don't think was possible. At most places I saw the NX Mini was at £100 with a lens. I don't think you can get much cheaper than that.
No, that's fairly cheap.
Yeah. So it's kind of a shame because Samsung have actually made some pretty decent cameras. This isn't to say you can't just import one into
I'm
the
going to
UK.
say that was just that's going to be the importers. They're going to be enjoying themselves.
Yeah. So they're still making them in the rest of Europe, or they're still selling in the rest of Europe and in North America, and I'm assuming Asia as well. So
In other words, go on holiday and bring one back with you.
If you really want one, you'll be able to get your hands on one. They're just not going to sell them in the UK anymore.
Go on holiday, buy yourself a new camera, bring it back.
Yeah,
done.
Expensive. And another one is that we all knew from a while ago that 3 and O2, or 3 was going to buy O2, and BT is buying EE.
Now, wasn't there something about O2 and Vodafone combining?
No, that was just a rumor. But Hutchinson Whampoa, the people that own 3, have actually come out and said they want to buy O2.
See, that's a bad rumor because when I rang Vodafone, when I was changing over to 3 to get my, is it pack code that you need to change networks?
Yeah, port authorization code.
Yeah, that's the one. They were like, "Oh, why do you want to move?" And I went, "Well, I'm just kind of not getting signal in certain places, and my data limit is kind of like 500 meg."
I can't believe it's that low.
I can't believe it's that low. I know someone with an iPhone 4S who's like, "I can't check Facebook. I've only got 500 meg." So it's like, oh, okay. So this is at college. So it's like, okay, just have a chunk of my unlimited data plan. And I was like, well, there's low signal, low data plan. And to be honest, for an extra $5, I can upgrade my data with 3 to unlimited. So I was like, okay. So about your area coverage, we're combining with O2 to make better coverage. I was like, yes.
I don't think that's quite a bit. That's kind of different. Some companies have been known to share masts.
That's actually
because T-Mobile and Orange did that before they announced the EE merger
partnership.
Yeah, so I'm not sure they were using each other's masts while still being very separate companies.
Yeah, he was saying something about I think he used the word combining. This was like the summer holidays, so this would have been what, August? And I was like, no, I kind of not interested. I kind of want to like go now. Can I please have my code? Mm-hmm. So he gave me my code and I left. I was like, how is 500 meg still acceptable?
It isn't. Straight up, it isn't. So basically, what's happening today is Ofcom is the UK's kind of network regulatory body. They're selling they're auctioning off 190 megahertz of spectrum, coming between 2.3 and 3.4 gigahertz. But it's ex-military spectrum, and
so it should be good then.
Yeah, Telefonica and Hutchinson are kind of saying like, "Yo, like wait till we merge, and then wait. Like if you put this off, let us merge, and then we'll do it. Because if they do it as currently, if say 3 buy it now, another company can say, look, you can't let them buy O2. They've just bought more spectrum already. That's not fair. Why can't? And then they could be made to sell the spectrum. If they are combined into one entity and then buy it, they are just one entity buying more spectrum. There's not really much more to say on this. Again, we'll post it in the... Well, yeah, it's been a very slow news week, actually. A couple of things dropped today, but it's actually quite a slow news week.
I know, I was like, last night, I was like, I messaged Dom on Slack. I was like, oh, did you sort the rundown sheet out for tonight? It was like, for tomorrow night. It was like, no, I was like, okay, I'll just throw some in there. I was like, wow, just hit my feed. I was like, wow, there's nothing interesting in here.
Yeah.
And I was
So
like, okay, let's do the Verge, TechCrunch, and then I originally found something.
yeah. So lastly, in the topics, before we talk about a question we pondered between each other, HTC has been sending out the Marshmallow update to the One M8 in the United States.
That are unlocked, so they're not with any carrier.
Yeah, this is the unlocked.
Brought from HTC themselves.
Exactly, Chris got it. This is like if you bought like a pure unbranded, like HTC One M8 from HTC.
For the stupid price
you should be getting Marshmallow today. They sent out the OTA.
But this is US only. Bear in mind.
This is very much
follow in the next couple of weeks.
Yes. Not sure why. I'd rather they just like did it all in one go. But there's obviously a reason for whatever they're doing.
Server issues, I suppose. I mean, if you got the whole world hit.
Were there enough M8 sold to pull servers down? Is the question I'm going to ask. So yeah, you get all the good features of Marshmallow. You get now on tap. You get speed improvements, encryption improvements. Everything that Lollipop pretty much broke will be fixed in Marshmallow.
File permissions. No, app permissions, sorry.
Yeah, you get the new app permissions, which I've been playing around with on the Nexus 4. I flashed a Marshmallow ROM on it. It's actually quite interesting.
How does Nexus 4 hold with Marshmallow, stability-wise and speed-wise?
Absolutely amazing. You get the issues that come with it being a custom ROM anyway.
Oh yeah.
But like the actual, like the speed of it feels like a brand new phone. And I say this every time I get an OTA on the phone. I didn't think it felt slow before until I got this update, and now it just feels tighter. It feels better put together. It's like running with a shoe that's kind of done up compared to one that you've relaced and then done perfectly up.
Oh, yes.
You don't realize how good the other is until you do the next bit.
Like when you stick petrol in the cards.
Yeah. So I'm kind of upset that Marshmallow wouldn't go to the original, to the Nexus 4. I kind of understand why they don't do it. It'd cost a lot to sustain it.
See, I'm quite unhappy. Well, I won't say unhappy, but they've not pushed it to Nexus 7 2012, which I know you did mention in the past there was some issue with the memory type they use. Yeah,
it was just very cheap NAND flash, which has pretty much ran out of its write cycles. You will find a custom ROM for it. I mean, Signage Mod is already testing its nightlies. I flashed one on the first generation Moto G yesterday. And again, it's Marshmallow on a phone that's not going to get Marshmallow. You can flash Marshmallow on your 2012 Nexus 7, Chris. But
I've not got it. I sold it as soon as I updated it. I was like, well, I'm not living with this. Make me money now. Which it did.
Well, there you go. There is always a way to get something on there that's not supposed to be on there. Case in point, the HTC HD2. It pretty much has everything. So yeah, the main story for this topic was the M8 is getting it before the M9 is, which I find quite hilarious.
I know the Google Play Edition in the US, which I'm quite gutted never made its way over here. I know that's already been updated. I think people are reporting that they've upgraded and it's performing quite well.
Yeah, no, the M8 Google Play Edition got it a while ago.
I would say a long while ago.
Yeah, it was pretty close. It was like a week or so after the actual Nexi got it.
Which is what Google were aiming for with the Google Play Edition phones, to get it.
And the same with the Android One phones. About a week after it dropped for Nexus, it dropped for varying levels of Android One devices. And again, I still want to buy the one you can buy in the UK. It's like £60 or £70, and it's got a Marshmallow update.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, so if I can find
£60 worth of phone buy you.
A 4.5-inch 800 by 480 screen.
Perfect size for you then.
1 gig of RAM. Yeah, quad-core processor.
Very similar to that Smart Speed 6 I had then.
Yeah, except it gets its updates straight from Google.
Yeah, and it's not from Vodafone.
Yeah, but it is by a company called Micromax, which isn't very well known over here.
True. True.
So yeah, I kind of don't know how to. I mean, I was never going to buy one anyway, but I kind of feel a bit if I were an M9 owner, I'd kind of feel a bit
I'd
shunned at
be
this point.
bummed.
I'd be very bummed. So
Hey, I don't know if I'd ever buy an M9, to be honest. I kind of not really. I've seen the reviews and I'm like, it's just an M8 with a couple of improved specs. I just don't see the point in upgrading. Although it would be cool to have every M series HTC, but I just can't justify it.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for this week, though. There is a question we're going to ask each other and give a bit of a balls. Words are hard. Give a bit of an explanation as to why we picked what we picked. So, Chris, do you want to speak the question?
Yeah. So if people watched Pocket now, they would have noticed on YouTube there was a new video. Was what's the perfect smartphone for 2015, and it was kind of a misleading clickbaity thing. Not gonna lie, but they asked it. It was Jaime Rivera was doing a video, and he'd ask everyone on the team what phone would they have if they were to start in the industry, such as Taylor Martin. He quit reviewing phones, went off and did something else. If they were to do that, what phone would they buy, and what phone would they use? The Note 5 was said. The iPhone 6S was mentioned. All the usual stuff you'd expect to hear. Yeah. So I was trying to think for a question. I was like, "Thank you, Pocket. Now you've done the work for me." So, Dom, if you were to pick a smartphone to be your daily driver for the next 2 years, what would it be?
BlackBerry Priv.
That was mentioned as well, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Michael Fisher, I believe.
I was about to say, I can almost guarantee it was Michael Fisher.
That was Michael Fisher.
But yeah, no, it'd have to be the Priv. One of my prerequisites, if I'm buying a phone, like if it was my money going down and I have the budget, I am buying an AMOLED screen. So it has a Quad HD AMOLED display, which is like mind blowing. It's also a curved AMOLED screen, just not quite to the extent of the Galaxy S6 Edge. Yeah, it's not quite that extreme.
That had a nice. It was an extreme curve, but I found it. Like there was a weird animation. You know, it's like you zoom in, and you just start moving along.
Yeah, it curves over the edge.
It curves over. I sat there like, ooh.
Yeah. It's like if you play with a phone with 2.5D glass and you swipe from the edge for any navigation, you end up like doing it 5 times before you realize you actually had to do something. Anyway, yeah, no, I'd pick the screen. I played one in Carphone Warehouse the other day. The back cover. Everyone said it was like a really like grippy, tacky material. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I picked it up and I was like, whoa. It doesn't feel sticky as in like gross and disgusting. Like, I need to go wash my hands.
It was sticky as in, wow, that's gonna do the job.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever played with a Palm Pre.
Unfortunately, not. They always look cool.
Yeah, the Touchstone wireless charger that came with it had material on the bottom, which I think was called Gecko Feet, and it's essentially that same material. It's not adhere, like you could like touch it with your hands, there wouldn't be anything. But if you peel the material and just stuck it down on like a piece of wood or like the wall, that thing would not budge. I stuck it vertically on a wall and put a phone on there, and it stuck there for like an hour and a half.
What, before it finally gave way?
Yeah, before it finally gave way.
That's kind of cool.
So, like, it wasn't quite that extreme, but I was like, wow, I can't feel like I'm going to drop this, especially when you have it open and it's not top heavy, but it is a big phone. Again, that keyboard, whilst not the best BlackBerry keyboard, it's actually still a really good keyboard. It's the capacitive touchpad. From what I hear with the recent software update, like a day or two ago, it greatly improves the camera speed and just like general UI jankiness is like being smoothed out. And it's getting its 3rd update already. And it's like, it got the December security Android patch on December 1st.
That's another thing, that there's not security patches aren't pushed to phones as much anymore.
No.
I've noticed.
A lot of the security patches phones got before, though, can be done through Google Play services now, which is quite good. Like some of them, I don't know if you remember, but in the gingerbread days, we had like 2.3 all the way to like 2.3.7 or 2.3.8
Wow.
because there was like a million different versions. Everyone needed a specific version. I think Sprint had like 2.3.3.4, which enabled like Google Voice calling. It was super weird.
Wow.
So a lot of the stuff that can be pushed through Google Play services now is being pushed through Google Play services. But no,
Right.
these are the security Android patches that like everyone pledged to do like once a month.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And aside from like the Nexus phones, like BlackBerry has delivered like 2 or 3 months patches already, and it's kind of insane. And again, it got the December Android security patch on December 1st and started pushing it out to unlocked devices.
Did you try? Because I know you can you pop the keyboard up and you can use the whole keyboard as a cursor to move to text. Did you try that?
Yeah, I did, but very briefly.
Was that any good?
It feels like I got it to work, but it does have a slight learning curve. But I feel like if I used it for an hour, it'd feel like second nature.
Yeah, because I've seen that and I've been like, well, that's kind of cool. It means I'm not sitting there going, trying to be like the world's most carefulest bloke ever, which I cannot do to save my life.
So aside from its price, which is kind of what's stopping me right now, without a doubt, it'd be the Priv. I don't take that many photos, so the camera being slightly slow doesn't bother me. It's a good camera, it's just slightly slow. And man, that keyboard.
Is it nice to have a full physical keyboard again?
It really is. I picked up my. I have a bold. I can't remember which one.
A bold. Wow.
Oh, here it is.
And here's one. Here it is.
A 9790. Here it is.
And it's
battered and bruised. I called it the baby bold. It was almost like the curve of the bold series. It was definitely aimed at younger people, and I picked it up for like mega cheap. And I was playing with it, and I was like, "Man, this keyboard looks tiny." And then I was like, "Oh, wait a second! I've just typed out like a really quite nice text, like quite fast, without even looking at this thing."
Yeah, I had noticed that when BlackBerry hit, like with the bolds and that, there was a lot of other companies making physical keyboards. I know LG had a phone that did that, which I remember picking up for cheap. Nokia did it with which one was it? The CO1, if I'm not mistaken. And a load of other companies did it. And I thought, wow, they're all slightly different, but yet they all felt very similar.
I remember picking up, it's actually one of my most viewed videos on my YouTube channel. It's an unboxing of an Alcatel phone. Like the OT
as well.
2210 or something like that. And it was a £10 phone that looked like a mini BlackBerry knockoff. It was very much a dumb phone. It didn't have Wi-Fi, it didn't have 3G. It charged over mini USB. And it got like 25,000 views on the unboxing, like 30,000 for the review. And again, it was like it did some things better than the BlackBerry did. Like the keyboard felt like it had a more natural layout between some things. But yeah, there was definitely a time where everyone tried to put a physical keyboard on things.
Yeah, to try and copy them.
Yeah. So that'd be my answer. So Chris, what phone would you pick?
Oh, see, some people would be like, "Oh, I'd have the 950 XL. It's got Continuum in it." No, I wouldn't. As much as I'd like to play Continuum, I don't think I'd want it for 2 years. I'd be more inclined to get the S6 Edge Plus. And I only say it because if you've seen the review on the site, you'll know that camera is super, super crispy. Even at 16:9, I think I can't remember what I had it set to. I know HDR, it did a good job.
I think I was about to say one thing we can kind of praise Samsung for is, especially with the newer, so like this year's phones, they got imaging so right.
Yes.
The image signal processor on the SoC itself is so well done, and the camera app they've designed, I believe, is GPU accelerated, so they can do things like auto HDR in live. So you can do like HDR video. Like HDR video is hard. Samsung's doing it live viewfinder on a phone as well. They
that
deserve commendation for that.
I know you were quite impressed when I put a photo up. You're like, whoa, is that full HDR? I was like, yep, that's full everything, just stock out the box. Just booted it up, shine everything to everything. And the video on it was good as well. I mean, I did the video testing, I'd say a well-lit area. But, I mean, it might have helped if I'd put it up to 1080-60. I kind of forgot to change it. But even then, it doesn't blur. Bear in mind, them cars in there traveling at some, I won't say they're traveling quick. Let's say if you get your foot on the track and it hits you in the shin, you're going to know about it. But no, it was just snappy. I didn't have any lag issues, but I hope I didn't really with 4 gigs. I think it had 4 gigs of RAM. Mm-hmm. The only thing I'd ideally change on it is to make it stock Android. I think that's where something would have to change because it's TouchWiz. Yes, it's gotten better. Yes, TouchWiz is getting better and it is easier. Well, not easy to use, but it is nice.
It's becoming less detestable.
Yes, it's at the end of the day, it's still TouchWiz. The fingerprint scanner, quick. Heart rate scanner.
I can never get those to work. They always tell me I don't have a heart rate.
I'm
always dying according to Samsung phones.
I got mine to work. I don't really see the use of it. Personally.
Oh no, it's absolutely useless. My girlfriend has a Galaxy Alpha, and the only time she ever uses it is she's like, "Hey, do you want to see if you're still dead?" Because it always works for her, and then I'll take it and I'll try and use it, and like no finger, no matter what orientation, it just won't register that I have a pulse.
Although if you do have a phone with a fingerprint scanner, make sure you write the backup password down. If you're an idiot like me, you lock it. I don't know why it would reject my fingerprint, but it rejected my fingerprint so many times. Went, please use the password.
And you forgot what you put the password.
I kind of forgot, so I was like, okay, I'll go into Android Device Manager, lock it. Nope, change password. That didn't work. I was like, no, I've got to wipe it. Just make sure you've taken a note of it because I will honestly say it'll save you a ball ache.
Oh, and that is actually something I'd like to end on. If you get a new device or current device and haven't done it yet, set up Android Device Manager. If family members get new devices, set up Android Device Manager for them. It is a lifesaver. You can make a device ring even if it's on silent. You can locate it on a map. You can wipe it. You can put a device. You can find it on a map. It is so good and it's free. It's from Google. Just download Device Manager.
I think you go to devicemanager.play or something.
I think it's android.com/device manager or something like that.
Let's have a look. Device Manager. Come on, stupid internet. Come on, talk. Get your hamsters running. It's google.co.uk/android/device manager.
Yeah, so if you just go to android.com/device manager, it also works.
And rename all your devices as well.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, God, the amount of times I've done that, I've gone, what's this phone? What's this phone?
Try being me, Chris. I think I've gone through over 25 phones this year alone.
I've not gone through that many. I've only gone through about 3 or 4.
I think I might have to create a separate Google account just for.
What I do is I call them like old and then a device, and then I'll just go into the settings and say do not appear. So I don't see them, but if I need to any reason, I can go, okay, that's what it was.
Okay, but, so sorry for cutting you off there, Chris.
I'll get used to it.
So that has been Talking Tech episode 6, the 2-man show.
Well, according to Craig, when he's done his art, he's gone with the original one, which was, I can't find Slack anywhere, Talking Tech Thursday. So call it what you like, Talking Tech Thursday or 2-man army. I prefer 2-man army personally.
Either way, whatever you want to call it, Bob's your teapot, everyone's happy. This is the end of Talking Tech episode 6. I am Dom. That is Chris. You can get me on Twitter. I am at @mobile_Dom. Chris is at Chris Wallace
959.
959.
The good old racing number.
Yes. You can get us on Twitter for the site, which is at MTTFeed.
Because somebody's an idiot.
Yeah, he's squatting on the handle. Find us on Google Plus and YouTube just by searching Mobile Tech Talk, because they won't give us fancy URLs.
Because we're not big enough.
Mobile Tech Talk UK, I think, is our Facebook.
I think it's Mobile Tech Talk UK.
Yeah. And then we've got Instagram, which is Mobile Tech Talk.
Which you find me and Craig on more often than anyone.
Yeah, because I kind of lurk on Instagram instead of post.
That was my problem for quite a while.
So until next week, I have been Dom, that's been Chris, and you guys have been whoever the hell you are. I don't actually know any of you. So until next week, bye-bye.
See you later.